you could introduce yourself, or I should say reintroduce yourself to our new listeners. Say where you're from, who you are, and what you do creatively.
So my name is Lawrence Perry. I am by day a graphic designer and web designer, and I guess after day, photographer, budding videographer, and just overall visual creative.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So I'm from Brooklyn, New York, back in New York, um, based in I guess the tri-state for now, just
Mm-hmm.
because of where I'm living. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I guess not I guess, but once Omarion's off tour, I'm looking forward to, getting out and just creating here in the tri-state area.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, with all this going on with, the new strand and everything, it's been very stressful for a lot of people, but all we can do is like take the necessary precautions and try our best. At least you have like your graphic design work though you can kind of fall back on. So you don't have like
Yeah.
just one sole thing where like, oh, I can't be around people, so I can't do this.
Yes. Thankfully, I have that absolutely,
Yeah.
and never take that for granted at all.
Mm, that's awesome. So I know when we talked, like one on one, you mentioned to me before that you actually suffer from depression. Could you tell me and also our listeners, when were you officially diagnosed with depression?
So I was never officially diagnosed, but I just realized one day that like, oh, I'm depressed. This is depression
Yeah.
because, it feels weird to say or like even to like explain to someone else, but like until like you've gone through it,
Hmm.
you know, um, you wouldn't know it. But I knew deep down inside like I didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Like my emotions were all over the place. What I felt was, an emotion of like normalcy for me. It wasn't it. So I'm like, all right, I'm really depressed. Like
Hmm.
this has got me down. And I would say that would happen back in maybe mid June, excuse me, mid June of last year of 2021.
I was just gonna
Yeah,
ask, like, what pinpointed, maybe like, what was the cause of your depression? You might say.
yeah. So again, I had never thought like, I mean, I'm not gonna say like I'm like Superman or anything like that. Like it can't happen to me. But
Hmm.
I was getting out of I wouldn't say a bad relationship, but I was getting out of a relationship that didn't you know go in the direction I wanted to.
Yeah.
And I was just used to being a very I was just used to doing things like a lot on my own. Like I didn't really like depend on anyone. If I was to go out to eat, like, I'm doing
Hmm.
it by myself. Like I watch
Hmm.
movies by myself. I have like lots of me dates. And so
Yes.
when I got into the relationship, it was like, oh, cool. Like, I have a companion now. So
Mm.
little things like going to Trader Joe's or like Target, I would always have like, someone with me. Oh, shoot. I would always have someone
It's
with
okay.
me on these on those little outings or those little errands.
Yeah.
And so like after the relationship ended, I realized, oh man, like, I was so used to being on my own, and then I had someone, and then now I'm back to like being on my own. And it's like, oh, I wasn't ready for this yet. I wasn't ready for this transition. And
Mm.
I didn't realize that, I guess maybe a month afterwards, I was like, yo, I don't feel like myself. Like, I'm not sick or
Wow.
anything like that, but I don't feel like how I normally do. And I was like,
Mm.
well, I think also too, what helped me was that like I journaled. I began
Mm.
like I didn't journal like every day, but like I did journal maybe like every 3 days or something like that. And I was like,
Mm.
oh, this happened like right around the breakup. So that makes sense.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that with me and also our listeners. I know that had to be very difficult actually going through that, having that like sudden shift where you were used to being on your own, and then you had a companion, and all of a sudden you're alone again. So that had to be pretty rough on you. Do you think that the journaling helps you process your feelings though, and what you were feeling in the moment?
The journaling, I would say yes. I'm not gonna say it's like an end or cure, but yeah, it does help. But also too, it's just good for like documentation because again, I'm not Superman, but there's a lot that I forget, and then like I look in the journal and be like, oh yeah, that's right, that did happen. Wow, how did I forget that?
Yeah.
So it also helps with like just documenting the journey.
Hmm. So it's kind of like a diary for you to like just keep track of what happened and like just process what was going through your head and emotionally during that time.
Yeah, just because like a lot, and it's crazy like how our, at least what I'm realizing, like how our minds work. So it's
Hmm.
crazy how you can endure something and it doesn't have to be like overly traumatic, like burning building, anything like that, but like
Yeah.
something that causes any type of trauma to the mind, and like the mind will suppress it. And then when I look back into my journal entries, I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely try to forget that. So definitely, it's a good thing to just do and have,
Hmm.
whether you're depressed or just just everyday life.
Very true. I believe that our brains, I feel like if we went through something like really traumatic, that I feel like our brains actually tries to forget certain things, like try
Mhm.
not to recall that certain thing back to your mind just because it's your brain doesn't want to remember it because it's like so bad.
Yeah, like it was a shock the first time, and then like to repeatedly like shock the
Mhm.
body. Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
defense mechanism.
So how are you currently coping with your depression now, you would say?
So it's I don't know how do I want to like describe this, because like the person who I was with, she was like very like aware of her emotions, and like we would always have like these talks about like being aware of your emotions and like how to process it.
Hmm.
So it's funny. So like when our relationship ended, I was using when our relationship ended, I was using some of her like what she was like what she taught me, and like some
Mm.
of like the resources to like cope the fact that we're no longer together, which is like a weird,
Yeah.
I don't
Huh.
know, like a weird like 360, but it's like, oh, like I'm using what you taught me
Yeah.
when we were together to get through what I'm going through now that we're not together, in
Hmm.
a sense. But
Hmm.
just like allowing myself to like to feel the emotions that I'm experiencing.
Hmm.
Um, not really like putting a timetable, so to speak. Like, oh, okay, cool. Like, like by next week I gotta be over this. But like, just allowing myself to like, just feel how I feel
Hmm.
and do my best to understand why I'm feeling this way.
Hmm.
So with the journaling, I have like a way like to trace like, oh, okay, I started feeling this way last week. So I guess that's something that happened to me, why I'm, feeling this way like now, or it's still going on now.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, just allowing myself to feel, and definitely giving myself time, although it's kind of like contradictory too in a sense,
Hmm.
because I wouldn't want like something like that to like, be something that takes over like my entire life moving forward. But at the same time
Right.
too, I'm not trying to like end it, or not even end it, but like, just stop it short. So it's a
Hmm.
weird balance. Um, Same thing too, like a lot of times too, like when I was like feeling, or at least are the days when I felt most depressed, I always wanted to be by myself to process those emotions, but
Hmm.
I didn't want to be isolated in a room. So like I found myself like in parks. For any of our listeners who are familiar with like the Orlando area, like I would be over in Lake Yola Park
Hmm.
a lot, just people watching while like I'm processing my
Yeah.
emotions, or even, as weird as it sounds, like in Florida Mall,
Hmm.
just I would be by myself, but I wouldn't
Hmm.
be by myself.
Right. That's really interesting, but I feel like that's good that you weren't totally isolated because I feel like if you were completely isolated with like no
Yeah.
people around, that could be kind of dangerous while you're in like that frame of mind. But I feel like
Hmm.
having that alone time to allow yourself to like process your feelings and really feel your feelings, but still people around, that way, you're not too isolated to the point where you might be thinking like really, really bad thoughts or
Yeah.
something crazy like that.
One thing that also helped too, which is kind of funny how the timing in the universe worked,
Mm-hmm.
but the week before our relationship ended, I literally just got like a bike. So I've been cycling through the depression, so to speak. Like that's been therapy for me.
Wow.
Just go, yeah, just going out on rides around the Orlando city area for like 20, 30 miles,
Mm.
just processing, thinking, and just, just being with my thoughts.
So would you say that even cycling around with your bike could be like a coping mechanism too for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think there's been times where my body wanted to like, I was done. Like I would tap out. I would want to tap out at
Mm.
15, 20 miles, but there would be so much I'd be thinking about that, I'd go the extra 5 miles just because there were more things going on that day or that week that I wanted to process. And yeah, the bike was my
I
therapy.
think that's a great way to process your feelings though in a constructive way, and also while you're like in your head, but at the same time you're moving your body, so you're not just stagnant. You're getting exercise, which I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
helps process your emotions as well, because exercise makes you feel better too. So
But you know what, too? At the time, it's only me telling you now that I realized that was therapy. But
yeah.
there'd be days where I would feel bad or like, just have like not necessarily a bad week, but it's like, all right, I don't want to be around people, but I don't want to be by myself. Let me just hop on my bike since I just got it and ride around. But like looking back now, it's like, yeah, those rides are like really therapeutic.
So, what would you do on your really bad days to cheer you up? Was it cycling on your bike, or was it journaling, or something else?
On a really bad day, I would just find anything to take my mind off what I'm currently experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
So, as much as I would cycle, I would also have horrible habits of, oh my gosh, there's a term for this. Not necessarily binge eating, but like
Mm.
just eating. Oh man, there's a word, I guess. I
Yeah,
forget the term.
I think I
But
know
I
what
don't.
you're talking about too, and I can't remember the term either.
Yeah, but like, just eating to feel good, and it's even worse too with
Yeah.
like Netflix and Crunchyroll or any of like one of these like streaming services. But yeah,
Yeah.
I would just watch things to like take my mind off of it to like distract me
Mm.
until I had to go back to work or finish a project. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a bad way of getting over a bad feeling that
Mm-hmm.
time, but something that was healthier still would be just going out for walks.
Mm.
Um, yeah, going out for walks, or I guess when I had a really bad day, I I get when I had like a really bad day, just talking to someone.
Mm.
Just a really bad day, just talking to someone, just like talking it out instead of like having that trapped up inside me. I would just like talk with someone.
Mm-hmm. I
Just
mean,
my personality. It's
yeah.
not I'm not the most I'm not the most or it's not in me to like voluntarily like I'm not necessarily go out my way, but like voluntarily like disclose information. But like when I'm really feeling bad, it's when like okay, like I'll
Yeah.
reach out to someone and talk. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just always been me to like keep things to myself because
Same.
I don't want to ever feel like I'm a burden to someone with my own problems. But when I can't,
Mm-hmm.
when I've like endured too much, that's when all right, cool, like I have to reach out to someone and just like
I mean,
vent.
that is like the healthiest way to process your feelings, not holding it all in, but like letting somebody know, somebody that's gonna have a listening ear and like even a shoulder to cry on, like a really good friend
Hmm.
or family member that will hear you out no matter, and unbiased and not take sides, of course. So
Yeah.
I know we talked a little bit about how your depression, was affected your relationship and like how it affected you personally and something you did to cope. Do you think it had any effect on your creative work as an artist or your work? What would you say in that arena?
It definitely had and impacted me in like on both spectrums, both to like where I didn't want to create any at all,
Mm.
and then it also inspired some of at least to me personally, like my best work as far as like
Mm.
it's in the regards of like a recent like self-portrait project that I had a while ago.
Yeah.
Um,
I think I saw that on Instagram too. It was amazing.
thank you. That was from this period of time.
Oh,
Just
wow. Mm-hmm.
yeah, just that period of time, and then a lot of the music I was listening to as well. So like it just kind of like birthed that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, it definitely for me again, it goes both ways. Like there's days where I just like didn't even want to think about creating anything. I just wanted to just
Mm-hmm.
be with my thought or be with my thoughts or escape my thoughts and emotions. And then days where it's like, all right, if I'm really feeling sad, I want to create something like really moody, something that matches how I'm feeling right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny too, because even like outside of us, there's always this, I guess now it's a horrible joke, but there's always this joke, this one when it comes to music.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever some of our favorite artists are going through something, and it can be like, no matter the genre, whether it be hip hop, like pop music,
Mm-hmm.
Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande,
Yeah.
to hip hop with Nas, or even
Mm.
R&B with Mary J. Blige. A lot of their greatest projects were when they're going through like a breakup.
Yeah. That's so
So
true.
a lot of the greatest projects were when they were going through breakups, and we selfishly, as the listeners, fans, consumers, we're
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, we love that. When go get in another relationship and like break up so we can get another one.
Oh no.
But
Oh boy. That's that artist lifestyle.
it is. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's the sad truth.
Mm-hmm. So, what advice do you have for creatives or even just people in general with how to cope with depression? What would you say, Lawrence?
I would say, feel how you feel. Don't feel ashamed of whatever you're going through. It's just a natural reaction to whatever trauma you face up until that point. And how you're feeling right now is just your reaction to said experience. If you're able to um, document it, journey it, so you're able to pinpoint where, or if there's like a shift in your emotions, you're able to pinpoint why or what was the cause of this shift.
Mm-hmm.
And find, I was gonna say, don't be like us and just eat out of boredom, but find ways to distract yourself healthfully, whether it be a new hobby, going outside.
Mm-hmm.
Just find ways to distract yourself, but also process and understand why you're feeling this way at your pace too is the most important thing too. Don't feel that you have to figure it out in a week or 1 month or 2 months. Just let time take its time, and don't feel any type of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Also too, I mean, I was gonna say, don't feel any type of pressure to hurry it up, but at the same time too, in that same breath,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be able to continue going on life, because you'll miss life. Life will pass you by if you're not able to be present.